So again, thank you all for joining us from the Florida School of Massage community. And for those of you that don't know me, my name's Christina, and I'm here with Amanda Hixon. And behind the scenes, we have Sarah Thompson and Chrissy Martinez, who again, I'm always so thankful for, because without them, we would not be here. And we've, again, still been motivated and inspired to continue to get creative and find ways to stay in community together, in connection with one another through these ongoing extraordinary times. Hey, I see Mark. Hi, Mark. Thanks for joining us. And as many of you are already aware, we are not at school. I'm coming to you from home, and Amanda is in her office. And at FSM, we're just so looking forward to resuming classes as soon as we can, and we are still in our temporary closure for the time being. And as always, I know we have a variety of listeners from all different backgrounds, and some of you, of course, are very familiar with our community, and some of you will be brand new, I'm sure. And I'd like to just say welcome, and yes, we are a massage school, and yet it's always so much more than that at the Florida School of Massage. And many of our past students and professionals continue to return to Gainesville for either continuing education or advanced trainings, or just to dip into this place of ongoing learning of not only hands-on body work, but also the exploration of our inner world through this vehicle of touch, awareness, and communication, both verbal and nonverbal. And of course, however, currently we are still all working from home, and we're just really looking forward to having this time online with you. And we're going to have about an hour to talk with Amanda Hixon, who graduated FSM in 2018. And in 2 years, she's already worked in a variety of settings. And the focus of her work has been intuition-guided deep tissue massage, working with clients in recovery from trauma and addiction. As always, we'll reserve time towards the end for your questions and comments. And I know that you're either joining us on Facebook or YouTube, so please type your comments or questions into the chat. And it's our goal to interact with as many of you as we can. And Sarah and Chrissy will be monitoring those comments for us. If you're joining us on YouTube, you can also go ahead and like this video and subscribe to our channel by hitting that red button below. And also remember to hit the notification button as well to get a reminder. And for those of you on Facebook, you can like this video and follow us there. All right, so Amanda, you are a more recent graduate of FSM, and I know we have some listeners who are new to the Florida School of Massage community. Some listeners may know you very well, some classmates. So before we move into our discussion, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your background and what originally inspired you to study massage and how you were led to FSM?
Thanks for having me. This whole experience is like really interesting. Just being like here with you all today. So I guess everyone's experience bringing them to Florida School Massage, I think, is just more often than not like really serendipitous. And I think that mine was in that line as well. I got in touch with massage when I was young. My dad worked in an office, and his forearms were sore from typing all the time. And so it started with that, with working on his wrists and forearms. And that was just kind of something that I did. my dad and I have a wonderful relationship. He's always like been the cheerleader in my corner, like pushing me to do whatever it is that I want to do.
Mm.
Um, and as my as I grew up, um, his sister, my Aunt Heather, and I was telling you this before, I think it's going to be an emotional day. When I talk about this, it's tough sometimes. Um, but his sister and I got really close. My Aunt Heather, when I was growing up, and
Mhm.
she was a massage therapist and a yoga instructor and a health coach, and just dabbled in several different areas of the health and wellness and
Mhm.
awareness industry, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, and so when I was 19, she passed away to suicide, and my that was like the big like traumatic thing in my life. Um,
Mhm.
and my dad and I actually found her. So there was like a quite a bit of recovery that had to come from that, obviously. And
Sure.
at the time, I was not in a place to be consciously trying to move through it. I was doing everything I could to avoid being in the emotions from that. Um,
Mhm.
and I was in active alcoholism, just getting one of the low spots
Mhm.
during that period of time. And I moving on into sobriety. Actually, was I don't want to skip too much because there are some important things. I had the opportunity to work for a trauma facility that focuses focuses on trauma, and a lot of people that go there have addiction and alcoholism as well. Um, and so that kind of being in sobriety and then working in that was bringing up like all of these new ideas and philosophies, and like, wow, this is who I am, and this is who I am, and this is who I am. And it started the awareness piece of my life. Um,
Mm.
and one of those things was that when I made a decision to do something, I couldn't go back on it. That was an old belief.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so commitment always became, or often was, a scary thing, and making a decision was a scary thing.
Mm.
And so when it came to massage school, I
Mhm.
knew I was going to be going to FSM.
Mhm.
And I just, and I knew that massage school was going to be a part of my life. I was just waiting for the time
Mhm.
to be right, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that it was more in my subconscious than anything. It wasn't in my conscious mind for until like right before school started.
Mhm.
Um, and that was, I was talking to my supervisor, and I told him, I think I want to go check out Florida School Massage.
Mhm.
And he just, every time this is like such an important part of the story, because that belief was so ingrained.
Mhm.
I still to this day don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Um, but he said, yeah, just go check it out. And it just like dawned on me that I could just go check it out. And I didn't have to like make up my mind before I went and spoke with anyone, because that was my idea, that I had to be in the decision of a yes or no before I even toured the property.
Yeah.
And it made it so much easier to move into that part of my life, because I now had the freedom of choice. And that is like really empowering, very much so today. So yeah, that's how that came to be. The like, I didn't have to make up my mind. And I was telling you about this before, like,
Yeah.
the school is so amazing, is that you still don't have to make up your mind, like, even when you're like halfway through. It's like, it's great. You guys are just wonderful. So
Well, first of all, Amanda, thank you so much for sharing that vulnerability with us and that story. I can imagine that that was a trauma for you as a young woman, and for so many of our students, we frequently have people who have had life-changing events which either led them to their first experience of massage and then decided to continue to study massage, to pursue a career in massage, or they're just experiencing a crossroads, like a moment of personal realization or awakening, which leads them to go down a different career path or a different choice in their life. So I really, appreciate you sharing that piece of your story, because it really is a common one for students. And also, congratulations on your recovery and sobriety. And I know that's a big part of your work now. So you graduated in 2018, and at that time, you had actually already been working for a facility for trauma and drug and alcohol use. So when you graduated, you were actually led to stay there, and you were actually hired as a massage therapist in the facility. Is that right? Tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, that was actually like, so before school started, um, I the trauma facility that I worked for at that time was very it's a very well recommended establishment, and it just happens to be in Ocala, which is kind of bizarre to think about sometimes, because Ocala is like a very like small town area. um, but well, yeah, before school started, I was like, wow, it would be super cool if I could like come back here as a massage therapist. And um, it turned out to be my first job. And I didn't think that I was going to be qualified to do that right out of school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't think that I was like good enough, I guess, to be working at a place like that right out of
Mm-hmm.
school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we just had like really well established relationships, and I still do, with a lot of employees there, and actually like clients who have moved to the area I'm still very close with. And so like, yeah, that was just kind of like, holy cow, like I cannot believe I get this opportunity now. um and then going into like the actual work there, so each session in massage as a whole is different with each client, and even if you're seeing the same client for a long period of time, it can still be different every time. And
Absolutely.
um so there was periods of time where the clients there would stay from anywhere from like sometimes they would only be there for a couple days to like 6 months. And so I got to work with the same, I really loved working with the same person over like a longer period of time, developing a relationship with them and seeing their growth and getting to be a part of it. And so sometimes that would be, the most important thing in my practice is to provide a safe container. And even more so their wounds and mind is open and raw, and sometimes they would come in and take a break, and sometimes it would be more another intense experience. It's very common for people to have experienced sexual trauma. So I'm constantly mindful of that. And so I can like allow for people to like keep all of their clothes on if they feel comfortable doing that, and they can just be at ease, not feeling like they need to continue to show up, even for me, for any particular reason. I want for my clients to feel free to be whoever they are, whatever that looks like, if it's super messy or put together or whatever, and that they have the freedom to speak up and tell me or ask me what they need when they need it. And I like really try to drive that like in the intake process and before every single session inside of trauma treatment facility or not.
Sounds like you really gained a lot of quick and immediate experience working with different populations. As you say, it can be a very vulnerable time, either drug, trauma, addiction recovery, sexual abuse recovery, all of those things. And it sounds like you had the benefit of being in a high quality treatment facility with other types of modalities of therapists also, so that if you needed to, you could also help refer people to whoever their talk therapists were, whoever their support groups were, and that it was a really all-around community that you got to work within. And you touched on a lot of the things that we cover in our basic 6-month training program at the Florida School of Massage, including communication skills, boundaries and ethics, knowing when to go a little bit further with the client and when to refer them when things go outside the scope of our massage practice. So that sounds like really amazing, valuable experience. Now, I know that you did just massage at the treatment facility for a few months, right out of school. And then you decided to also simultaneously start working in another space, right, that you shared with another therapist. Tell us about that point in your development.
Actually, it was my best friend. We've been friends for over 10 years, I think. And she was actually the one who planted the seed of go check out FSM. And that was right after my aunt passed away. She was coming down and visiting me in St. Pete right after that happened. And I was just like, not right now. But then later on, it turned out that I went and then ended up sharing an office space with her. And so it was interesting, and I'm like super grateful that I got to share an office space and didn't go and out on my own in my own space right away, because it can be kind of expensive to just be in my own place, and then I got to like share financial responsibilities with her.
Yes.
Um, and start to build a client base. And so that was like the beginning of feeling at home in my office, and
Mm,
feeling free to practice the way that I wanted to practice. Um,
wonderful.
yeah, yeah, I think that's, yeah.
And how was that being in a shared office space? Did you enjoy having someone else to share with?
Yeah, I did. And there, so the particular space in Ocala, there's this street. It's Fort King Street or
Mm-hmm.
Avenue. I don't know. And it's super super cute. It runs right through the historic district, and everybody's out walking their dogs all the time. So just the area that I was in was really nice, and it was really comforting. And being in the office with her, Victoria is her name. Um, and then there was also other therapists who I got to know, and just kind of like exchanging ideas about massage and sharing the love of massage is really nice to be in like a collaborative environment versus like
Yeah.
uh, there's authority, and I think, I don't know how I'm trying to say this. Yeah, it's just like a different dynamic, I guess.
Well, I think you're speaking to that uh, phase or stage when you graduate from school and you're looking for work, but at the same time you might be feeling empowered to start your own business at the same time. And as you say, that requires some investment. And of course, these are things we all talk about in the business portion of our training program. And once you're out there starting to work, you sort of figure out what it is that you want to do. And you have the benefit of being in this treatment center, and then you could start to dabble, pay a little bit of rent. And we see a lot of people getting creative with that, especially now in these times. People are sharing office spaces and doing what they can to start their practices. And um, so for you, so just to recap, you were working for the treatment facility, then you decided to share your office space, and you shared for about a year and a half, and then you decided to actually go to work for someone else in a totally different setting. Tell us
Yeah.
about that part of your evolution and what benefits that gave you early on in your career.
Uh-huh. Um, so I moved into a couple of different spaces. Now I'm in a new one. But I shared another office space after that, grew more, developed more of a client base, and then I hit a point where I was like not motivated to continue doing all of the behind the scenes stuff
Mm-hmm.
to continue working for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so there was this uh, like whisper in my ear that was like, go back to Gainesville, go back to Gainesville. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what? Okay, whatever. And so I started looking, and it it turned into like a friend, like, hey, we're looking for a roommate. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll keep that in the back of my mind. And then another friend was like, hey, Hand and Stone is looking for a massage therapist. And I was like, oh, this is a place to live and a place to work. Cool. So this was in February of this year. Um, And I just listened to that, and I went and got the job working for an establishment. It was the thing that I can say the most about this and as a whole is just to like listen to that like inner knowing. Um, and that was it was exactly what that was. I had one of my best friends from school was working at Hand and Stone, so that was like a huge plus. And the interview process was very divine. Like I think I like teared up a little bit in the interview because I was
Mhm.
just so like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no question about it. And I knew that I was going to be, um, there was going to be a difference in my income. And I was like, this is what my higher power wants for me. So I'm just going to do it because I'm not going to even question that. And so that's kind of like how that came about. And then I actually was working there like almost a month on the dot when lockdown started. And because I had been working there for exactly a month, I qualified for the PPP loan that they had gotten approved for. And so that would have, like, I would never have had the opportunity to have income if I would have been working for myself.
Mm.
And right before all that happened, I didn't end up. I had never moved to Gainesville because there was like another little whisper that was like, "Hold on a second, pause, like don't go yet." And
So I'm just
so
going to pause there for a moment. So for those of you that are listening, Hand and Stone is actually a group practice that exists here in Gainesville if you're not familiar with it from your area. And it's a place where people can go for different services like massage. And you can have a monthly membership and go for monthly regular massages at like a membership rate. And we have several of those in Gainesville, and recent graduates or people who just graduate out of massage school frequently find it beneficial to work for someone else, to gain some experience, to benefit from whatever the benefits are that they are offering. So, Amanda, tell us about, and by the way, the lockdown she's referring to, most of you, I'm sure, are aware it's because of COVID-19
mhm.
that we're in right now. So tell us a little bit about that part of working at Hand and Stone, and what were some of the benefits that you experienced working there? And I know you also mentioned really great mentorship that you experienced there.
Yeah. I had our manager, Ashley at Hand and Stone, is a wonderful human, and she she like really allows people to be just human, and not. I think a lot of people get this misconception of the it being a franchise is that it's going to be run like a typical franchise, and Hand and Stone in Gainesville is absolutely not like that at all. Um, and so like the benefits of that is like when my mental health is not in an okay place, and this is what happens has happened. About a month or so ago, I was going through some stuff, and so like Ashley has shown up in this way, exactly the way that I would want to be with my employees when that time comes.
Mm-hmm.
And so and it's just this like, okay, take the day off, like go take care of yourself. And I'm so incredibly grateful for that like personal piece of it. um and in addition to that, I have learned that really enjoy having a educational portal with them. So I have the opportunity to learn other modalities inside of the establishment that I don't have to pay for, which is super cool. Um,
So lots of supportive free education that you also got from that
mhm.
organization. Uh-huh.
um, I'm learning about the operations of massage establishment and like scheduling and the timing of things now with the virus happening and doing extra sanitation procedures. There's,
Mm.
the scheduling has changed. And so there's longer gaps between appointment times now.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of like, yeah, just like the operations of the business is really one of the biggest things. And my manager and I had a really beautiful long talk a couple days ago about like what are your suggestions as um, a business owner, like how do you show up for your employees? And she just basically was like, I just the biggest thing is to be available for to be like of support for the staff, and
And
like the door is always open to talk about whatever. um
that's
so
really
i
great.
I really like that she has a it's very personal, and there's gets to be balance.
Yes, and we're all getting a lot of experience in relying on one another or relying on our professional associations. You're relying on the mentorship that you're receiving at Hand and Stone, just in how to practice safely and all these protocols that massage therapists have had to set up. And that all sounds like that's really been beneficial for you. And I know you're continuing with Hand and Stone and still enjoying that and loving everything that you're learning, as you say, business practices, running an establishment, all of those things, and professionalism. And yet you were still called to rent a room for yourself, right? So you're doing both. You're continuing with Hand and Stone and developing your own business at the same time. Is that
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, I like a lot of things. I like to. I don't know. It's so hard for me to like pick stuff sometimes because I'm still working in treatment too.
Right.
Um, and so yeah, I'm in my office right now, and I just really missed the freedom of even like walking around barefoot.
Uh-huh.
um, and how homey it feels to be here. And because of that, I feel more freedom to practice the way that I want to. And um, even if it's like like the session changing and being something totally different, and I feel free to be able to show up if something changes. Um,
It sounds like you're experiencing more autonomy and your own scheduling and all those things in your own practice, which is different when you're working for a structure that somebody else has created for you,
mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I know from our conversation that you mentioned that structure is actually really good for you, and you took this leap of faith to work with a business coach as well. So tell us
Yeah.
about that and what led you to find even more support for yourself.
Um, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to, like, I tried working for myself for a year, and then Amber was with me along that way. We had started having conversations or whatever, like during that period of time before
Amber is
Amber.
your business coach.
Yeah, Amber Brown. She's in
Uh huh.
Asheville.
Uh huh.
Um, And so I she was along that path of trying it out for the first time, and then Hand and Stone came in, and then I knew that I was going to need this degree of accountability if I was going to be going back into practice for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been so much more than that. It is changing the way that I show up even more. I'm becoming more aware of who I am. The limiting beliefs that prevented me from furthering myself in my practice to begin with, and where those came from. I have learned how to map out social media content, when to be doing that, when I'm in my most creative self, when it's time for me to really get into like grind mode, and and when that's appropriate for me to be in that place. I think that I can really get into a place of like work, 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 and I don't let myself stop. And there's a time and a place for when I can work, 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 and then I get to slow down and do other things that are appropriate for that, and it's still working, but I'm not like physically grinding out, or grinding out doing massage. So there's been just a broad range of self-awareness and business strategies and practices, and integrating them together with business coaching. I highly, highly, highly recommend it for anyone, really. And it's been very beneficial in the beginning of starting a business.
That's so great. And really, it sounds like you're talking about, business as a path of spiritual and personal growth. Like, yes, you have this very practical skill now of doing massage, but you also have this life experience of your own recovery and being able to share that in your work as well. And that's one side of it, and the other side of it is just the very practical aspects of accountability and how to develop and maintain relationships with clients and all of that. It's just an ongoing learning skill. And I really want to commend you for, 2 years out of school, and you're already going through so many valuable stages of personal development, like as a businesswoman and also as a massage therapist. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of listeners who can really relate to your experience of starting out. And one of the things I've noticed about really successful people, and this is not just in massage, but just in different areas of my life, like really people who I admire who are living their life from an empowered place, loving their business, loving their work, doing the work that they really want to be doing. What I've really noticed is that the people who are most successful have like a common sense of humility to be able to ask for help when it is that they need to ask for help, and not figure out how to do, not feel like they have to figure it all out themselves. So I really want to commend you for being able to ask for help in all those different ways that you've been able to do that. And I really want to ask you too, just one more question before we go to Sarah, and that is like, tell us about the heart of your work, because you shared quite a bit with me about how meaningful it was being 4 years into your own recovery. Again, congratulations for that. And what that means to work with people in the same, of course, in their own individual experience, but having walked that road for 4 years, how meaningful it is for you to work with people, maybe even just starting their own path of recovery or revisiting their path of recovery. Yeah, so why don't you share us a little bit about the heart of your work?
So it was really, um, it meant a lot for me to have, I guess, particularly women to be supportive of me, um, and asking me the right questions, and to be able to come to my own conclusions about who I am, and that someone's not like forcing any answers or trying to ask me questions in a particular way so that they would get the answers that they wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, when I am at the table with someone,
Mm-hmm.
the heart of it is just to like letting both of us like be exactly where we're at, and not having to force anything. Sorry.
It's okay.
I just had a session with someone yesterday, and it was so incredibly important to be able to just be with her. And she had like really chronic neck pain, and she had been experiencing it for a very, very, very long time. And I didn't do any deep tissue, which is what people typically come to see me for. So she just needed to be able to just be, and not have to do anything to feel worthy of existing as a human.
Mm-hmm.
And that it provided so much relief for her. Like, you could just tell when I put my hands on her that she just like sunk into the table and was like, it turned into like a very, very like magical session. And that one, I'll be carrying that one with me for a while.
Well, thank you so much for that. I'm just going to pause here and let you collect your tears. And sure. And Sarah, I just want to invite you into our conversation. Can you hear me, Sarah?
I can, yeah. Hey.
I just wanted to check in with you and see if you had any questions or comments from our listeners or anything else that you wanted to share.
Well, I just really appreciate so far hearing your story, Amanda. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I feel curious, if you were to give advice to folks who are just graduating and out there in the world and looking to go on their first path, what advice would you give to them?
If you have any kind of spiritual practices, or intuition, whatever that looks like for them, for that they get in touch with that, and develop it, because that's where the good juicy stuff is going to come from. It's just that like inner knowing and divine guidance from outside of the ego, and just to enjoy the ride. There's no need to rush anything.
Thanks so much for that. Anything else, Sarah, before I move on to my last and final question for Amanda?
Yeah, that's it from here.
All right. So, Amanda, one of the things we talk about at the Florida School of Massage is living life on your own terms. And we always like to ask people at the end of our interviews, what does it mean for you, having gone through the Florida School of Massage and to be exploring your career now for the last 2 years? What does it mean to you to live life on your own terms?
I get to do what I want when I want. I get to take time for myself, even if that is having to reschedule a session that I don't feel available for. It's the freedom to choose and just to like experience life as a whole and not feel obligated to show up for anyone but me.
Well, thanks so much, Amanda. I mean, it sounds like what you're describing, living your life on your own terms, means that you can be your authentic self, and that I really feel that from you in your sharing today. And again, your honesty around your own recovery and the challenges of starting your own business. And from my view, from what I'm observing, it's amazing how you've just persevered and continued through this time of COVID-19. And thank you so much for sharing with us. And I just want to tell everyone out there, if you have any questions for Amanda or are interested in scheduling an appointment with her, you can call her. Her telephone number is 352-727-8031, and we'll include that in the show notes for anyone listening. And I just want to say, if you've enjoyed your time with us today, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting that subscribe button below. And you can also hit the like button and share it with your friends. And you can also click the notifications to get reminders. And you can also follow us and like this video on Facebook. And if you'd like to learn more about our school, you can visit our website at floridaschoolofmassage.com. You can register for our live stream and newsletter. You can contact us there, and we'd be happy to connect with you and share more information and keep you informed about when we will be restarting, and even set up a live call so that someone can speak with you in person. And when we first began our live stream a few months ago, we really had no idea we would still be here in our temporary closure, and imagined actually a shorter run of just trying to stay connected with one another. And the good news is that we'll continue with our live stream in the weeks and months to come, and taking it in some new content directions. We'll continue to send out surveys, and we so appreciate and read all of your feedback. It really helps us shape our future live stream topics and the direction that we want to go in. And we'll be doing our next live stream next month, Thursday, September 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I hope you can join us and look for email updates. And if you subscribe to our newsletter, and if you sign up for the live stream on our website, you'll just automatically get emails from us telling you what's coming up in the future. So I really want to thank you again, Amanda and Chrissy and Sarah, for all your behind the scenes support. And as always, it's just been such a pleasure to be together. So until the next time, stay safe, be good to yourselves and to one another. Bye for now.